Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode's a pre-fight show for UFC 193, Rousey versus Holm. And yeah, oh man, this is going to be an amazing pay-per-view. It looks like it's going to set the all-time UFC attendance record, which is going to be phenomenal. Just shy of 2 days of the 22nd birthday of the UFC, which was November 12th, and yeah, this is happening tomorrow, which is November 14th. So 22 years and 2 days later, the UFC went from the small crowd it had at UFC 1 to over 70,000 people. Looks like it's going to be. We'll see once everyone gets inside that octagon and the lights hit. So this is the pre-fight show, the main card. Let's get started. The main event is Ronda Rousey, UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion at 135 pounds, versus Holm, the preacher's daughter, as they call her. Yeah, Ronda Rousey is a big favorite in this. Holm is a former champion boxer. Ronda Rousey is a bronze medalist in the 2008 Summer Olympics in judo. And this fight, it's going to be, I'm predicting a first round armbar, Ronda Rousey. I know there's going to be a lot of hype with Holm, and not to take anything away from her, but I think she's going to engage in the striking, Holm is. Then Ronda Rousey is going to catch one of those limbs, get her on the ground, and work the armbar in devastating fashion. So this will be a quick fight. Yeah, I was debating, should I go with a second round submission armbar victory for Ronda Rousey, but yeah, I gotta go with Ronda Rousey gets it done in the first round. I've been to 2 Ronda Rousey fights and 2 Holm fights, and I gotta say, just from what I've seen in person, and well, of course I've watched a lot of their fights on TV and the internet and whatnot, and just based off what I've seen, I gotta go with the head movement of Ronda Rousey will be good enough to avoid getting knocked out by Holm. And Ronda Rousey will look to clinch and work in a takedown or do a judo toss and get the takedown and then work the armbar. And I think it happens 2 to 3 minutes in the first round. So there you have it. There's my prediction. Not very shocking. A lot of people are saying similar stuff as I am. Yeah, so Ronda Rousey will get her, I believe, 7th UFC title defense. If you want to count the Strikeforce stuff, then this would make it 8 title defenses, essentially. So, Ronda Rousey will get her umpteenth title defense, depending on how you look at it. Submit her legacy. Then in the co-main event, we have the UFC Women's Strawweight Champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 115 pounds versus Valerie Letourneau. Now this fight, I'm scratching my head how the odds makers have Joanna something like a 22 to 1 favorite over Valerie Letourneau. I think Valerie Letourneau is very underrated. If I were in charge of Vegas betting odds, I would say Joanna is probably 5 or 6 or 7 to 1 favorite. I think this fight's way closer than odds makers have it. I think Valerie Letourneau is going to put up a good fight. I think she will get knocked out. I'm picking second round knockout victory for Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the champion. I think she gets it done. I think Valerie Letourneau puts up a good fight for that first round, but still loses that first round. And in the second round, Joanna goes for the kill early to mid in the second round, eventually getting the KO knockout. And I think this fight stays standing. I think Valerie may, midway into the first round, go for a takedown, not get it, because Joanna has really good takedown defense. She's going to get a little distress. Joanna's going to tee off on her a little bit more, and that'll be the end of the first round. Second round, Joanna definitely has a rhythm down. starts teeing off and eventually gets a KO victory over Valerie Letourneau. So there you have it. I'm picking Ioana, second round KO. Then, also on the main card, in the heavyweight division, we have Mark the Super Samoan Hunt versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Yeah, this is a rematch of the ages. The first fight was a classic heavyweight clash, went 5 rounds and it ended in a draw, and there's this big controversy because somebody failed the drug tests. And this is the rematch of it. Mark Hunt, I think, though, doesn't bring this to a decision, and I think Mark Hunt gets first round KO victory over Antonio Silva, because I think that Mark Hunt can take a beating like no other, and Antonio Silva can take a beating maybe, but not tonight. I think Mark Hunt feeds off the crowd, gets pumped up, and he knocks out Antonio Silva. I think it's a stand-up battle. Antonio doesn't go for takedowns, even though he should, and then pays a price, stays in the pocket too long against Mark Hunt, and Mark Hunt uses his footwork and gets the knockout victory. I think either uppercut or overhand right gets the victory over Antonio Silva. So, first round KO victory for Mark Hunt. That's my prediction. Then in the middleweight division, we have Robert Whittaker versus Uriah Hall. Yeah, this was originally going to be Michael Bisping versus Robert Whittaker, and I think that fight would have been a little bit more intriguing in the sense that Michael Bisping can, if he had this fight and won, then he's racking up wins now, and he's definitely back in title talks. This one, it tends to be, two guys that, even though they have wins in the UFC, are kind of, they're not big selling names. I mean, Uriah Hall would be the bigger name, I suppose. I followed Robert Whittaker, but say the casual so-so fan of MMA probably doesn't follow Robert Whittaker. Yeah, Uriah Hall, though, I think this is a good matchup for him, and I think this fight stays standing. Uriah Hall gets the victory. It's going to be, let's see, what did I pick? I picked, Uriah Hall, first round KO. I think Uriah Hall gets first round KO. I think this fight stays standing. Robert Whittaker loves to be a slugger, and that'll be a bad idea against a guy like Uriah Hall. I think Robert Whittaker had a better chance stylistically of beating Michael Bisping, just because not like Michael Bisping's any less of a fighter or anything, but you guys all know I love Michael Bisping, but just stylistically, I think that Michael Bisping and Robert Whittaker are more similar in the way they love to not necessarily do flashy moves, but do nice, solid technical striking, not necessarily go for constant groundwork. Uriah Hall, he's known for his flashy, unorthodox striking, and I think that becomes a problem for Robert Whittaker, and Uriah Hall gets it done by some sort of flashy knockout, kind of like the Gegard Mousasi fight where he timed it perfectly, and I think he will do the same thing on this one and get the victory somehow, some way. I have no idea, but this can be some flashy, who would have saw it coming type kick or punch or elbow or knee from Uriah Hall, and he gets it done. I'm predicting towards the end of the first round, because I got it like maybe first 2 or 3 minutes they're doing some exchanges and it's looking kind of even, and then all of a sudden Uriah Hall just does something that catches Robert Whittaker, and then Uriah Hall finishes him either with that or rocks him and then finishes him. So there you have it. Uriah Hall, first round KO. Some sort, I don't know. Uriah Hall is just that unorthodox. Yeah, then to kick off the main card, we have Stefan Skyscraper Struve versus Jared Rosholt. I'm a big fan of both these guys. It sucks to see someone's going to have to win and someone's going to have to lose because I want to see them both win. They're two of my favorite heavyweights. Yeah, Jared Rosholt, he's sort of the all-American hero. And Stefan Struve, I love my Dutch strikers because, Alistair Overeem being my favorite fighter and Stefan Struve being right up there with Alistair Overeem as one of my favorite fighters. I do think, though, that the thing about Stefan Struve, he leaves himself open way too much where people get inside his reach and then knock him out. And Stefan Struve has to definitely master that skill of finding his reach, using that reach advantage and height advantage he has over a lot of his opponents. And he hasn't mastered that skill precisely like a John Jones and whatnot. I know John Jones is light heavyweight, but Stefan could have been like the heavyweight version of John Jones in terms of striking department. I know wrestling styles, they're different, and grappling, they're different. I think Stefan has really good jiu-jitsu skills, very underrated jiu-jitsu skills. Jared Rosholt, he has decent wrestling. He's not real fast and agile, but he has heavy hands. Jared Rosholt could get inside the reach of Stefan Struve and knock him out, but he's not one of those guys that's going to be able to do it. I think Stefan Struve, experienced veteran, I think he uses his speed over Jared Rosholt. It won't be much anything else, just the fact that he has speed and he's so young still as a fighter, and he's still young, period. Well, I mean, he's had a lot of fights, so I shouldn't say he's young as a fighter, but he's a young guy still. And so I think that Stefan Struve gets it done. I had it, first round KO. I have a lot of first round stoppages in this main card. Yeah, I think this main card has a lot of finishes, and it's one of those pay-per-views where they insert prelim fights throughout the pay-per-view broadcast to fill in time. So, yeah, Stefan Struve, he works it, and if anything, if he doesn't win by first round knockout, then he stuns Jared Rosholt, knocks him to the ground, then gets on top of him and works his ground game and gets a submission. Or he rocks him and then gets a submission in the stand-up, maybe rocks him, pulls guard and submits him like a guillotine choke or something. So there you have it. There's my predictions. I'm predicting a lot of big, bold finishes, and I have very few of these fights as big, I guess you could say, close, hard-fought fights. I think this main card's pretty lopsided. I'm pretty convinced that a lot of my picks are going to win. I think worst case scenario, I go 4-1 on this card. If not, I'm 5-0 on this main card. So stay tuned for my post-fight show to see if I was accurate. And yeah, I'll have my post-fight show in the coming days after this amazing pay-per-view, and let's see if it sets what kind of records it sets with pay-per-view buys and attendance. So until then, see ya.